COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the aviation industry due to the resulting travel restrictions as well as a slump in demand among travelers. Significant reductions in passenger numbers have resulted in planes flying empty, the cancellation of flights, massive reduction in revenues for airlines, while a few of them have also gone under. A subject of interest is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on airlines and associated businesses. Plus, an airline operator bears its mind on the restart plan of aviation in Nigeria. A warm welcome to Aviation This Week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi.
The COVID-19 pandemic, no doubt, has had a significant impact on the aviation industry due to the travel restrictions as well as a slump in demand among travelers. The ensuing crisis has been described as the worst ever encountered in the history of the industry. This crisis has also pushed several struggling airlines over the edge, while many global giants have seen record losses and a dependency on government bailouts to keep afloat. By April 2020, international seat capacity had dropped by almost 80% from a year ago, and half the world's airplanes were in storage. Flights have been limited and strict hygiene measures have been implemented to try and regain confidence in the industry at a time when many countries are lifting tight restrictions on mobility.
Now, if a second wave comes back, we hope that governments will take different measures because they will have the methodology, the equipment, the readiness, the plans, and if we could avoid complete lockdowns, that would be better for everybody, for the whole economy, and for the air travel industry as well. But if there is no second wave, but the worst is behind us.
In late May, Chile's LATAM Airlines Group SA became one of the largest carriers so far to seek an emergency reorganization during the pandemic, while Britain's EasyJet said it planned to cut up to 4,500 jobs and shrink its fleets to adjust to the smaller travel market, which is forecast to emerge from the coronavirus crisis.
Ryanair is going back flying with 1,000 flights each day from the 1st of July. Those flights will operate. We think they will be heavily booked outbound. But the return flights, the inbound traffic, is being devastated by this completely useless and defective quarantine measure.
Virgin Australia in May 2020 said it had been granted formal recognition of its voluntary administration process in Australia and was put up for sale. For British Airways, its parent company, IAG, burnt $223 million a week, and now its survival is not guaranteed, with the airline saying over 12,000 will have to go. The airline has come under heavy attack from lawmakers who accused it of taking advantage of a government scheme to protect jobs, while at the same time announcing plans to cut its workforce by 20%. In the midst of all this, the global airline body believes restarting quickly will save airlines.
But the point now is we should restart quickly. We are ready. The processes are ready. The airlines are ready. We are expecting governments now to be fast and pushy to reopen borders. Of course, with all the necessary health controls, sanitary check, precautions, we have no problem with that. Huh? But things are ready. Methodology are ready. Equipments are ready. Airlines are ready. People are trained. We should fly again.
Aircraft manufacturers are also not spared, as U.S. plane maker Boeing said it handed over just 4 planes in May, down from the 6 it delivered in April, its lowest total for the month in 6 decades, and about 87% fewer than it delivered to customers at the same time a year ago. In April, Boeing recorded 0 new orders for the second month this year, compounding its worst start to a year since 1962. In Africa, tough times required diversification as Ethiopian Airlines converted 22 of its passenger planes to cargo planes to help the company diversify its income. With demand for cargo flights increasing to help transport medical equipment and supplies, engineers will take around 36 hours to remove seats from a plane to convert it into a cargo plane. For ailing South African Airways, about 10 billion rand, or nearly 580 million US dollars, will be needed from the government for its survival. A new rescue plan showed the South African government will need to find the new bailout funds if it wants to rescue SAA with most of its routes intact. An analyst breaks down the new expectation.
When you look at an airline like SAA or any major carrier in Africa and the role that it plays, you've got to look at what does it do, what does it bring to the economy, both at a local, national, and continental basis. And with the enormous population boom that's anticipated in Africa over the next 30 years, it's going to be crucial that governments are able to house, educate, feed, and take care of people, as well as creating an environment where jobs are created and people can be put into gainful employment. And a robust, well-functioning and competitive air transport system is crucial to that. It enables travel, it enables trade, and it enables tourism, which is not just about leisure travel, but also about business travel. And if you have competition amongst African airlines, it also means you are helping to keep the costs down, and that provides a competitive advantage for African businesses, because it means that we would be able to reduce the cost of doing business and doing trade on the continent.
In the Middle East, Emirates, one of the world's biggest long-haul airlines, laid off hundreds of pilots and thousands of cabin crew in June as it manages a cash crunch occasioned by the pandemic, and more job cuts are planned. Reports say the workforce of 4,300 pilots and nearly 22,000 cabin crew could shrink by almost a third from its pre-coronavirus levels. The airline's boss is also critical of leaving middle seats empty.
If we start leaving seats in the economy inventory open or unsold because of social distancing, one has to accept that you have to be consistent about this. It's no point just leaving the seat next to you empty, because the seat behind you, somebody sneezes or coughs, irrespective of the seat back meant to be deflecting it, it won't actually happen. As you know, these will travel 20 feet down the cabin or in an enclosed space. So what it basically means that you will have to take 50% of your, in the case of economy inventory out. Now, with the continuous change going on, the maths, the calculus, it doesn't stack up.
Here in Nigeria, opening up the aviation sector may have to wait a little longer, as the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority stated that 5 airports under FAN were only 57% ready, while 3 of the 8 scheduled carriers still had challenges of compliance with COVID-19 safety regulations. However, the Lagos Airport private terminal, known as the MMA2, scored 87%, showing readiness to resume operations. There are 5 airports slated for the commencement of operations, including Lagos, Abuja, Malam Aminu Kano Airport, Kano, Port Harcourt Airport, Amagwa River State, and Sam Mbakwe Airport, Owerri. Concerned stakeholders, however, said covering gaps in airport operations is critical, stressing that the airport should reopen in phases, but first with a simulation.
Social distancing on board the aircraft is a no-no for Nigerian airlines, as this will further eat into revenue expected from low passenger traffic when the sector resumes. That's the view of the chairman of Air Peace Airlines, Mr. Allen Oyema.
We all asked for palliatives, but I don't think the issue of palliative is the reason behind not starting. I think it has to do more with getting set to embrace the new normal. the airports need to be ready. The airports need to be 100% ready. The Civil Aviation Authority must make sure they are comfortable with the level of inspection of all the airlines and all the planes that have been grounded for some 3 months, not flying. So these may be the issues there, but I think the airlines are very ready, but there are some other logistics that may be taken into consideration before we hit the skies. And the government, I'm sure, is just being careful so that everybody gets it right. But on our side, we are ready, and I can't fault them for trying to make sure everything is done rightly. Well, not just my own position, it's the position of AON, that is the airlines in Nigeria. We are all against the implementation of the free middle seat regime. We are very, very much against it. It will kill the airlines. It will just kill the airlines. First of all, we take into consideration the purchasing power of the average Nigerian. The moment you decide to leave the middle seat empty, that means in a 130 or 140 seater capacity aircraft, you may be taking about maybe 80 passengers or 90 passengers. And those 80 passengers must be ready to pay for the empty seats that you are flying. Then, of course, the lowest fare, the economy fare, might become 80,000 naira or thereabout. How many Nigerians can afford to pay a minimum airfare of 80,000 naira? How many people can afford that? It means that even after the COVID issue, you have to understand that passenger figures will drop. So this also, if this is implemented, then of course, more people will not take to flying. You don't need to leave the mid-seat open, but if that's what they want, we have a panacea to that. How do we solve it? Why leaving the middle seat empty? There are other things we could do to minimize contact. One of those ways is boarding process. Now, we've decided that in EPIS, when we announce our boarding, we want window seats on the right to board first. Those who are sitting on the right side of the window, or the right side of the aircraft, the window seat on the right side of the aircraft should board first. We put only those few people on the bus. So even within the bus, they are not hitting each other. We take them to the aircraft, they sit down quietly. Then we call on middle seat people on the same right side to board. After boarding the window seat people, when they finish boarding, you call for window seats on the left to board. And the Nigerian flying is just between 40, 50 to at most 1 hour, 10 minutes flying. So we don't have to implement the middle seat empty regime. However, government has not said that it's sacrosanct. Government has not said it was a proposal. But we are saying that it will remain a proposal, that we don't want it because it will not help the airlines. Airlines have been giving dates. We all have dates. We've been giving dates when disinfection will come. So they'll come and do it. But what I'm saying, whether they come or not, well, every airline has been disinfecting their equipment, even for every flight. For example, we flew to China. We disinfected before we flew there. By the time we landed, we disinfected. Of course, the ported people were there also to disinfect them.
Newsflash begins with the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Hadi Sirika, saying that air ticket fares will not be out of reach when airlines and passengers return to the sky in Nigeria. This was the focus of his speech at the Presidential Task Force briefing on COVID-19 early in the week.
We are doing everything to ensure that ticket prices have not skyrocketed. They may be different, but they are not going to be something that passengers will not afford.
As the debate on how best the aviation industry in Nigeria restarts continues, there are divergent views following the planned introduction of slot system by the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria to curb a chaotic restart in the subsector. The Managing Director, Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, Captain Amisu Yadudu, at a webinar in Lagos, said good slots management would help achieve crowd control, especially at the Lagos airport, while it may be relaxed in others.
Very germane. Everybody is agitating.
The fan boss believes this practice will help at this critical time, as airlines will be compelled to strictly comply with slots allotted them, stating that due regard for these arrangements would also help observe the social distancing rules. However, airlines in the country say they do not support the slot system. Rather, they would like to see a facility upgrade that would aid smooth operations even in the COVID season. Still on airports, but this time, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria is being asked to get the International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO's three-lettered codes to differentiate each of the terminals at the Muritala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. This is coming from the president of the Aviation Roundtable, Mr. Gabriel Olowo. He said obtaining the codes will prevent chaos and flight misses by air travelers. There are 4 terminals at the Lagos Airport, the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, and 3 domestic terminals, including the Muritala Mohammed Airport 2, which is a privately owned terminal. As part of its operations in the COVID season, immigration authorities say visitation to the passport offices is strictly by invitation in keeping to the new normal. At the Ikoyi Passport Office, the man in charge there says they're upping their hygiene rules before admitting people into their command.
Some coming for enrollment, some coming to start the process of the passport. Though we have created a pattern of inviting them batch by batch through SMS for coming in order to control also the number. We created a social distance where the applicants will line up. We also have our temperature reader, which we have 2 at the gate. And then we stationed buckets, water, sanitizer, and soap.
Lufthansa has promised Germans a homecoming guarantee as the airline attempts to show it's ready to fly passengers again while respecting coronavirus restrictions. Frankfurt Airport and Lufthansa representatives offered the media a tour of the airport to show off high-tech air filters and safety and hygiene measures in place for flight traffic to resume safely. Lufthansa, which is struggling financially as a result of corona restrictions, said they were hoping for more international flights to resume as this is an important revenue source for them. Both the airport and Lufthansa sought to reassure passengers that flying will be safe as numbers are still well below usual summer traffic. Finally, the last convoy of outsized parts for the world's largest airliner crawled towards an assembly plant in southwest France, applauded by residents and production workers as Europe's Airbus prepares to build the last A380 Super Jumbo. Trucks carrying the fuselage section squeezed through the rural village of Levinac on their way to Toulouse, where the final Super Jumbo will be assembled before the model ends production in 2021, just 14 years after entering service. Airbus announced the early halt last year as it faced weak sales of the 4-engine behemoth, betting on efficiency by smaller jets like the Airbus A350 and Boeing 787.
First of all, I think that this is an important milestone of the Airbus history. This is the aircraft that brought all the 4 European partners together. So it was an accelerator of the history of Airbus. It was also a means to accelerate in terms of innovation, and we are all convinced that Airbus would not be today what it is without the 380, and we are all convinced that 350, for example, would not be what it is today without the 380.
It's a story of a trade switch to get through the coronavirus pandemic times. Meet one of Thai's airline's cabin crew, Tawanan. She's now a hairdresser, running a tiny salon out of a spare bedroom. With many airline fleets still grounded, individuals like Tawanan have to find new jobs to support themselves after realizing that her monthly base salary of around $934 without flying allowance wouldn't get her through.
The reason that I'm cutting people's hair is that I have this skill, and while barbers are closed, I can cut hair for my friends. The money that I get from cutting hair is incomparable to being a cabin crew. I earn only about $4 from each customer, but at least it can help support my meal expenses or pay for my electricity bills.
Tawanan decided to learn how to cut hair, attending a hairdressing course to refine the skills she learned on YouTube for years. She now has an average of 2 to 3 clients per day in the past 2 months, while missing her time at work.
I haven't worn this uniform for a very long time. I miss it a lot. I miss my colleagues. I miss the atmosphere at work. I miss the passengers. Most of the passengers, no matter what languages they speak or what nationalities they are sharing a good vibe. I'm very stressed because I have a fixed cost of paying my mortgage monthly. If this situation continues, I might have to sell my house because it's a big debt I have to take care of.
Tawanan is not the only cabin crew affected. 37-year-old Kosit Ratanasopan is also affected, but has been working in the past month as a delivery man, stylishly carrying food to customers around Bangkok on his Ducati motorbike. Trading his cabin crew uniform for a delivery jacket has been tough, but Kosit said he's making more than 1,000 baht. That's about $31 per day. Just enough to support his dad and sister, who also cook dozens of meals, boxed so that Kosit helps to sell online.
In my work field, if I don't get to fly, I don't earn an income. Once airlines were grounded, I knew that I had to find a new job. Then, I realized food service might be an alternative business during the COVID-19 crisis, so I started selling food online and joined a food delivery application company called Grab.
Faced with an uncertain future, Kosi said he has been stressed out, but riding a motorbike has helped him cope with delivery. Away from Thailand to Nigeria, this time the Angus Upholstery Department for aircraft seats and aircraft seat covers is diversifying into the production of face masks. With a production target for 100,000 face masks per week, the materials to be used are stored up for disinfection.
This is one of the stores where you have temperature control. It's being disinfected every day to ensure that even as we receive all fabrics, original pure cottons, we have to subject them to disinfection. We first of all quarantine them before they come into the bonded store where you have materials that are ready for cutting.
With local flights soon to open up in Nigeria, tight health measures as advised by IATA is now the new normal, and this includes the wearing of face masks among passengers and crew.
Please refer to the safety instruction card kept in the seat pocket.
That's all on the program. Thank you so much for staying with us, and do stay safe. I'm Bukola Jo Ukitumbi.